Awaken, mighty guardian, and rise to your calling. I heed the call, master.
The sky was slowly darkening over Jerusalem, but what was approaching was not merely night. It was the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and on the horizon, beyond the hills and ancient walls, something greater than shadows was advancing. A storm of iron and fire marched, relentlessly, as if the very earth had been summoned for judgment. Babylon had awakened, and when Babylon awakened, kingdoms trembled. The sacred gates were shattered. The sound of splintering would mix with the clash of metal. The temple, the place where the name had dwelled, was profaned. Princes, nobles, and priests were thrown into chains, dragged through streets that had once sung psalms. Their cries were swallowed by the dust of exile. Among them was a young man, a face not, yet marked by time, yet already carrying a destiny that would echo across generations. His name was Daniel. But this is not merely the story of a captive. It is not simply the account of a prophet living in a foreign land. It is the beginning of an invisible war, a silent confrontation between human kingdoms and eternal decrees. It is a whisper that travels through the centuries, a warning hidden beneath symbols, visions, and numbers. Some say Daniel spoke of the past. Others claim he saw the end. What if the words sealed for centuries are now on the verge of fulfillment? What if the wise are finally beginning to understand? Jerusalem burns. The sky is covered with dense, heavy clouds, as if the heavens themselves were mourning what was happening below. Amid screams, the clash of swords, and the thunder of collapsing walls, the Babylonian army advances. Without mercy, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, watches from a distance. His eyes show no mercy, only calculation and dominion. At his side, scribes and counselors record names, wealth, destinies. Orders are given. Separate the most promising young men from the ruins of the defeated city. For adolescents are pulled from the midst of the chaos. Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, their garments are torn and covered with dust, yet their eyes remain steady. They are taken to a foreign land where everything they know will be questioned. Their names, their culture, their faith, everything will be put to the test. In the heart of Babylon, the palace gates open like the mouth of a starving beast. There, under the authority of Ashpenaz, chief of the king's officials, a calculated process of transformation begins. Conquering bodies is not enough. Minds must be conquered. The young men are given new names. Daniel becomes Belteshazzar. Hananiah is called Shadrach. Mishael becomes Mach. Azariah receives the name of Abednego. Babylonian names, invocations of foreign gods, attempts to erase an ancient identity. In the training hall, tables overflow with delicacies, succulent meats, refined breads, aromatic wines, everything the empire has to offer at its finest. But Daniel watches carefully. It was not merely food. It was consecration. Those foods had been offered to the gods of Babylon. To eat meant to participate. To accept meant to surrender. With quiet courage, he approaches Ashpenaz. I beg you not to defile me with the king's food and wine. Ashpenaz hesitates. He respects Daniel, but he fears the wrath of Nebuchadnezzar. A mistake would cost him his own life. Still, Daniel persists, not with rebellion, but with conviction. Test your servants for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink. Then compare our appearance with that of the other young men. The proposal is accepted. 10 days pass. In the end, Daniel and his friends appear healthier, stronger, and more clear-minded than all the others. Impressed, Ashpenaz allows them to continue with that diet. As time goes on, the God of Israel honors the faithfulness of those young men. They excel in knowledge, literature, and wisdom, surpassing all the rest. And Daniel receives something more, a rare and dangerous gift, the ability to understand visions and interpret dreams. At the end of the 3 years of training, the young men are brought before the king. The throne room is colossal, golden, opulent, a monument to human power. Nebuchadnezzar watches them closely, asks questions, tests their minds. When the audience ends, the king rises and he declares that in all his court there is no one who compares to those four. In all my court, there is no one who compares to these four. Give them important positions in my kingdom. Daniel, in particular, draws the direct attention of the king, but the peace does not last. Something begins to move behind the scenes of the empire. An unease approaches. A disturbance shakes the throne of Babylon. One silent night, Nebuchadnezzar awakens in terror. His face is covered with sweat, his heart pounding like a war drum in his chest. He sits up in bed, gasping, trying to grasp something slipping from his mind. The dream had been there, vivid, crushing, but now it dissolves like mist at sunrise, and yet something remains, an invisible weight, a disturbing certainty that this was no ordinary dream. The unease eats away at his soul. The king of Babylon, lord of armies and cities, feels small before the unknown. Without delay, he summons magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers. The hall echoes with hurried footsteps as the wise men gather before the throne. I had a dream that deeply disturbed me. I want to know what the dream was and what it means. Tell us, sir. You are the king, and we will interpret for you. The response ignites Nebuchadnezzar's fury. His face hardens, and his voice explodes like thunder. I refuse. You must tell me both the dream and its interpretation. If you do not, you will be torn to pieces. Fear spreads like fire through dry straw. No man can read another's mind. No enchantment can reach what has been hidden by God himself. Silence takes hold of the hall. Faced with the failure of the wise men, the king, consumed by rage, decrees the death of all the wise men of Babylon. The sentence moves through the city like a whisper of death. When Daniel learns of the decree, he seeks out Arioch, the commander of the guard responsible for the executions. His voice is firm yet respectful. Why is the king in such haste? Understanding the gravity of the situation, Daniel acts with urgency and wisdom. He asks for time. He pleads with Arioch to intercede with the king. Grant me a little time. Daniel withdraws with his friends. They do not seek human strategies. They do not rely on cleverness. They do what they have learned since childhood. They pray on their knees. They cry out to the God of heaven, asking for mercy, not only for their own lives, but for all who have been condemned. O God of my fathers, I praise and thank you for you have given me wisdom and power. O God of my fathers, you have revealed what we asked of you. You have revealed the king's dream. That night, heaven responds. Daniel receives a vision. The hidden mystery is unveiled not by human merit, but by divine revelation. At dawn, Daniel presents himself to Arioch. His voice carries calm authority. Do not kill the wise men of Babylon. Take me to the king, and I will reveal to him the interpretation of the dream. Destiny leads him into the throne room. Firm footsteps echo on the marble floor. His gaze is resolute. The court watches in silence as a young Hebrew approaches Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel does not boast. He knows where the answer comes from. No wise man, enchanter, magician, or soothsayer can reveal this mystery, but there's a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And there in that solemn moment, Daniel begins to reveal the content of the dream the king had forgotten. A colossal statue rises. In his words, a head of gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, feet of iron mixed with clay. The king's breath catches. Every detail returns to his memory with overwhelming force. You, O king, are the head of gold. After you shall arise an inferior kingdom, then a third kingdom of bronze. There will also be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron. Finally, a kingdom will come that God will establish. And then the final revelation echoes like an eternal sentence. And this kingdom will be an eternal kingdom that will never be destroyed. The throne of Nebuchadnezzar trembles before the greatness of the revelation. The king falls prostrate before Daniel. The golden hall falls silent. The most powerful man in the known world kneels before a young exile, acknowledging that there is a power above crowns and armies. With a voice heavy with reverence, Nebuchadnezzar declares before the entire court, Surely your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings, the revealer of mysteries. Daniel is publicly exalted. He receives authority, honor, and a place among the counselors of the empire. His friends are elevated to high administrative positions in the province of Babylon. For the first time, the name of the God of Israel echoes freely within the walls of the city that symbolized absolute human dominion. But the king's recognition is not born of submission. It is born of impact, and impact does not transform character. As the days pass, something begins to change within Nebuchadnezzar. The initial admiration slowly fades and gives way to a dangerous thought. Pride grows in silence, fed by power, wealth, and the constant brilliance of the golden throne. The king remembers the prophecy, but not as a warning. He interprets it as a challenge. If other kingdoms were to arise after his, then he would refuse to allow it. If heaven had decreed succession, he would decree permanence. Nebuchadnezzar decides to rewrite his own destiny. By his command, artisans, engineers, and metal workers labor day and night. A colossal statue begins to take shape on the plain of Dura, 90 foot tall, entirely made of gold from head to foot. Not a partial statue, but an absolute decoration. There will be no silver, no bronze, no iron, only gold, only Babylon, only him. The image rises against the sky as a direct affront to divine revelation, a monument to human vanity, a silent challenge to eternal decrees. Then a decree resounds throughout the empire. When you hear the sound of the trumpet and all kinds of music, you must fall down and worship the image that king Nebuchadnezzar has erected. The command is absolute. The punishment is immediate. Whoever does not bow will be thrown alive into a blazing furnace. On the appointed day, the plain is filled. Governors, magistrates, officials, and peoples of every language gather. The music begins, and like a single body, the crowd bows, a sea of knees touching the ground, an entire empire bending before lifeless gold. But 3 men remain standing. Shadrach, Meek, Abednego. Their defiance stands out like an open wound in the spectacle of submission. Jealous officials rush to the palace, inflaming the king's anger. King, you have decreed that anyone who does not bow down should be thrown into the furnace. For there are Jews who do not serve your gods. Nebuchadnezzar summons them. His face is severe, yet he offers one final chance. If you bow down now, all will be well. But if you do not, you will be thrown into the furnace. And what God will be able to deliver you from my hand? The answer comes firm, without fear, without hesitation. O Nebuchadnezzar, we don't need to defend ourselves. If we are thrown into the furnace, the God we serve is powerful enough to deliver us, even if he does not deliver us. Know, O king, that we will not serve your gods, nor worship the image that you have set up. The silence is heavy. The king's pride erupts. The furnace is heated 7 times hotter. The fire roars like a living creature. Strong soldiers bind the young men, but as they throw them in, the soldiers themselves are instantly consumed by the flames. The 3 fall into the fire, and they do not scream. Suddenly, Nebuchadnezzar rises from his throne. His eyes widen. His voice trembles. Did we throw 3 men bound into fire? But I see 4 men loose, walking in the middle of the fire. They suffer no harm whatsoever, and the room looks like a child of the gods. The king approaches the furnace and calls out, Shadrach, Mach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come. Here. They come out unharmed. Their clothes are intact. Not a hair is singed. Not even the smell of smoke clings to them. Silence falls over the court. Then Nebuchadnezzar declared before everyone, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants. There is no other God who can deliver in this way. The 3 are promoted to even higher positions. But deep down, the king's heart remains divided, dangerously oscillating between the fear of the true God and the pride of a man who has not yet learned to surrender completely An inner struggle begins to grow, silent, invisible, yet constant. Within Nebuchadnezzar, two thrones compete for space. One is made of gold, power, and human glory. The other cannot be seen, but it weighs more. It is the truth he has heard, yet still resists accepting. One night, while Babylon sleeps beneath the glow of its torches and walls, the king is visited once more by the world of dreams. This time, the vision is different. There are no statues, no medals. There is life. He sees the gigantic tree. Its roots plunge deep into the earth. Its trunk is immense. Its branches stretch until they touch the sky. It can be seen to the ends of the earth. Its fruit feeds entire peoples. Its branches shelter birds, animals, and creatures of every kind. All live in its shade. All depend on it. Then the heavens open. A celestial messenger descends with unquestionable authority. His voice echoes like an eternal decree. Cut down the tree. Trim off its branches. Scatter its fruit. The axe falls. The colossus collapses. But the command continues. Leave the stump with its roots bound with iron and bronze. Let the human mind be taken from it, and let it be given a heart of a beast until it acknowledges that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of men. The king awakens in terror. His heart races. The dream does not fade. It remains alive. Terrifying. Nebuchadnezzar knows this is not merely a vision. It is a verdict. Without delay, he summons Daniel. The chamber is sealed. The atmosphere grows heavy. Daniel listens to the account in absolute silence. As the dream is described, his expression changes. He is shaken. The color drains from his face. Do not be afraid to tell me. Belteshazzar, what does this dream mean? My lord, may this dream be for those who hate you and its meaning for your enemies. Daniel takes a deep breath. He does not speak as a courtier. He speaks as a servant of the Most High God. You are the tree. You have grown and become strong. Your greatness reaches the heavens, but you will be driven away from mankind. You will live with the beasts of the field. You will eat grass like an ox. The room seems to shrink. Daniel continues, his voice firm yet burdened with sorrow. This will last for 7 times, until you acknowledge that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of men. The king remains silent for the first time. There is no fury. There is fear. O king, accept my counsel. Renounce your sins by doing what is right, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the oppressed. Perhaps then your prosperity can be prolonged. But time passes and pride prevails. 12 months later, Nebuchadnezzar walks on the terrace of his palace. Before him, Babylon stretches like a sea of stone, gold, and power. He gazes upon the city and is filled with himself. Is this not great Babylon which I have, built as a royal residence by the might of my power and for the glory of my majesty? The words barely leave his lips. A voice resounds from heaven. O king, Nebuchadnezzar, your royal power has been taken from you. At that very moment, his reason leaves him. The king descends into madness. He is driven from the palace. He lives among the animals. He eats grass like cattle. His body is drenched with the dew of heaven. His hair grows like the feathers of an eagle. His nails become like claws. The glory of the most powerful man on earth is reduced to dust. At the end of the 7 times, something changes. Nebuchadnezzar lifts his eyes toward heaven. His reason is restored. He kneels, and with a broken voice he declares, I praise the Most High. I honor and glorify the one who lives forever. His dominion is eternal, and his kingdom endures from generation to generation. Those who walk in pride, he is able to humble, restore to the throne. Nebuchadnezzar acknowledges that there is a God above all the thrones of the earth, but Babylon would not last forever. Soon, another king would arise, one who would despise what is sacred and whose end would be sealed by an invisible hand. Time passes. Records grow scarce. The name of Nebuchadnezzar fades from the official chronicles, as if the empire itself wished to forget the humiliation of its former king. The throne of Babylon now belongs to Belshazzar, his grandson. But where Nebuchadnezzar learned, though late, to fear the God of heaven, Belshazzar chooses the opposite path. He rules with arrogance, contempt, and mockery. What was a warning to his grandfather becomes an object of scorn. To him, it is night in Babylon. The palace pulses like a corrupted heart. Laughter, music echoes through the stone halls. Wine flows freely. An extravagant banquet is offered to 1,000 noble generals and officials of the empire. Women dance beneath golden torches. Pagan priests chant profane hymns. The atmosphere is one of intoxication, excess, and decadence. An empire celebrating itself at the threshold of judgment. In the midst of the euphoria, Belshazzar raises his voice. A cruel smile spreads across his face. An idea is born, not by chance, but as a deliberate provocation against the sacred. Bring the gold and silver cups that were taken from the temple of the God of the Hebrews in Jerusalem. Let us drink from them. Sacred relics consecrated to the God of Israel are brought in as trophies. Objects that once touched the holy are now used in a ritual of mockery. Belshazzar lifts the cup before all and praises the gods of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Gods who do not see, do not hear, do not answer. The hall erupts in laughter. Cups collide. Wine spills. Blasphemy turns into celebration. Then, without warning, the sound dies. The music stops. The air grows heavy. A cold, absolute silence floods the hall. Before everyone's eyes, a hand appears without body, without face, without explanation. Only luminous supernatural fingers, writing words of fire on the palace wall. Panic strikes instantly. Musicians drop their instruments. Goblets fall to the floor and shatter. Belshazzar's face drains of color. His legs give way. His knees knock together. The king who mocked now trembles. Call the soothsayers the enchanters. Whoever deciphers these words will be clothed in purple, receive a gold necklace, and be the third in the kingdom. But no one understands the inscription. Silence returns, now thick with terror. Then the queen mother enters the hall. Her expression is resolute. Her voice cuts through the chaos with authority. "Oh, king, do not be troubled. There is among us a man in whom dwells the spirit of the holy gods. In the days of your grandfather Nebuchadnezzar, he revealed dreams and mysteries. His name is Daniel. Daniel is brought in. Now older, his hair bears the weight of years, yet his eyes remain steady. He takes in the scene, the profane cups, the spilled wine, the burning words pulsing on the wall. Belshazzar tries to entice him with empty promises. If you interpret these words correctly, you will be clothed in purple. You will receive gold, and you will rule by my side. Daniel answers without hesitation. You may keep your gifts, give your rewards to another, yet I will read the inscription and reveal its meaning to the king. The silence deepens. Then Daniel speaks not as a subject, but as a messenger of the Most High. The Most High God granted Nebuchadnezzar power, glory, and majesty. But when he became proud, he was humbled. You, Belshazzar, knew all this, yet you did not humble yourself. On the contrary, you exalted yourself against the Lord of heaven. You brought the vessels of the temple to this banquet. You praised gods that neither see nor hear. But you did not glorify the God who sustains your breath. This is the message. Many God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tech, you have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. Perez Ha, your kingdom has been divided and given to the middays and Persians. The sentence falls like a hammer. Daniel falls silent. A shudder passes through the room. Stunned, Belshazzar still keeps his word. Daniel is clothed in purple. Gold is placed around his neck. He is proclaimed third ruler in the kingdom, but it is already too late. That very night, while the king sleeps in, drunk in stupor and the city drowns in arrogance, the enemy is already within. The walls, Cyrus the Persian and Darius the Mede secretly divert the waters of the Euphrates River. The gates, once impregnable, are taken without resistance. Belshazzar is killed and Babylon falls. The empire that defied heaven is handed over to another kingdom, the Medo-Persian Empire. Daniel, now advanced in age, once again, survives the fall of a kingdom. Empires rise and vanish like passing shadows, but he remains. His name endures across governments. His faithfulness does not grow old. His wisdom remains intact. Under the new rule, the Medo-Persian Empire is established. Darius the Mede ascends the throne. Unlike other kings, he does not see Daniel as a threat, but as a pillar. He quickly recognizes in him something rare: absolute integrity. The empire is organized into 120 provinces, each governed by satraps. To maintain order and justice, Darius appoints 3 supervisors over them. Daniel is one of those chosen. It does not take long for him to stand out. His administration is just. His decisions are firm. His loyalty is unquestionable. Darius considers placing him over the entire kingdom. That is when envy begins to grow. Silent, poisonous, like weeds pushing through stone. The other officials unite in conspiracy. They scrutinize his life, observe his actions, search for flaws, but they find nothing. No corruption, no negligence, no hidden misconduct. At last, they reach the only possible conclusion. They never found anything against him, except something related to the law of his God. The plan is crafted with precision. They approach the king with sweet words and calculated praise. They propose a decree that inflames royal pride. Decree that for 30 days anyone who prays to any god or man other than you, O king, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Flattered, Darius signs the law without, realizing he has sealed the fate of the man he trusts most. Daniel learns of the decree, but he does not change a single step of his routine. He does not hide. He does not bargain with his faith. 3 times a day, as he has done since his youth, he kneels in his chamber. The windows remain open, facing Jerusalem, the city in ruins yet never forgotten, and he prays. Spies observe. They rush to the king with the accusation. Daniel, one of the exiles from Judah, did not obey the decree. He continues to pray 3 times a day. Darius turns pale. The blow is precise. He tries with all his might to find a way out. He searches for loopholes, seeks exceptions. But the law of the Medes Persians is unchangeable. At sunset, with a heavy heart, the king orders that Daniel be taken away. Before the stone is moved, Darius approaches and says with a trembling voice, "May your God, whom you continually serve, deliver you." Daniel is cast into the lion's den. The stone is placed. The royal seal is applied. Night falls. The king does not sleep. He does not eat. He refuses music. The silence of the palace is broken only by the weight of guilt. At dawn, Das runs to the den. His voice echoes, filled with hope and fear. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then from the depths, a calm voice answers, "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. They have not harmed me, for I was found innocent before him, and also before you." Joy erupts. Daniel is lifted from the den without a single wound, no mark, no scratch. Immediately, Das orders that the accusers be thrown in. Before they even reach the ground, the lions overpower and devour them. Then the king issues a new decree sent to all peoples, nations, and languages of the empire: worship and reverence the God of Daniel, for he is the living God who endures forever. His kingdom will never be destroyed. His dominion will never end. The faith of Daniel shines brighter than ever. But what is yet to come is greater, much greater. Soon he will begin to see visions that surpass his own time, apocalyptic revelations that stretch across kingdoms, centuries, and the very end of human history. The days of political action are long past. Audiences, decrees, and conspiracies now belong to memory. Daniel walks slowly into old age. His youthful features have faded, replaced by a serene countenance shaped by decades of quiet faithfulness. His hair is white. His eyes, however, remain alert, no longer fixed on earthly thrones, but on the movements of heaven. Still respected in the highest circles of the empire, Daniel no longer seeks influence. His nights are devoted to meditation, fasting, and prayer. While king sleeps surrounded by guards, he keeps silent watch before God. But the outward peace begins to contrast with something unsettling within him. God begins to reveal visions. On a quiet night, Daniel falls asleep in his chamber. The flame of the oil lamp flickers. The curtain sways gently in the wind. Suddenly, he awakens with his heart racing, his body drenched in sweat, screaming what is just witness surpasses any human language. I had a vision during the night. I saw the four winds of heaven, stirring the great sea. The waters churn violently as if primordial chaos itself has been awakened, and from the sea emerge four great beasts, each different from the others, creatures that do not belong to the natural order, but to the realm of power and violence. The first was like a lion with eagles, wings, a symbol of majesty and speed. As Daniel watches, its wings are torn off. The creature is lifted from the ground, made to stand like a man and given a human mind. The second one looked like a bear, heavy, brutal, lifted on one side with 3 ribs between its teeth, heavy and brutal, raised up on one side with 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. A voice commands it, rise up and devour much flesh. The third was like a leopard, swift, unpredictable, with 4 wings on its back and 4 heads. Swift and unpredictable with 4 wings on its back and 4 heads. Dominion is given to it, but the fourth it was different from all the previous ones. Terrible, astonishing, terrifying, dreadful, exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth. It devoured, crushed, and trampled what was left under its feet. It did not merely conquer, it annihilated. It had 10 horns. As Daniel fixes his gaze, another horn appears, a little one, uprooting 3 of the first horns. It has eyes like the eyes of a man and a mouth speaking, arrogantly defying heaven. Then the scene shifts. Chaos gives way to the eternal court. I saw thrones being set up. The Ancient of Days takes his seat. His clothing is white as snow. His hair is like pure wool. His throne is fire, and a river of fire flows from before him. Thousands upon thousands serve him. Millions stand before him. The books are opened. Daniel watches filled with awe. The little horn continues to blaspheme against the Most High. I saw someone like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approaches the Ancient of Days and is led into his presence. To him are given dominion, glory, and an everlasting kingdom, one that will never be destroyed. Daniel awakens abruptly. He falls to his knees. His mind is confused. His spirit is deeply troubled. But heaven is not finished speaking. Another night arrives. Another vision presses in. This time, symbols collide in open warfare. Daniel sees a ram with 2 high horns, one higher than the other, charging westward, northward, and southward. Nothing can withstand it. Then a goat comes from the west with a conspicuous horn between its eyes. It crosses the whole earth without touching the ground. With devastating fury, it attacks the ram and shatters it. The goat grows exceedingly powerful, but at the height of its strength, the great horn is broken. In its place arise 4 smaller horns, and from one of them comes forth another little horn, which grows exceedingly great. It exalts itself even against the host of heaven. It casts stars down to the ground. It profanes the sanctuary. It stops the daily sacrifice, and it prospers even in rebellion. Daniel hears a voice ask, how long will this vision last? Another voice answers solemnly, until 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be cleansed. Daniel awakens once more, completely exhausted. For days he remains ill, shaken, silent. None of these visions are immediately clear, but little by little, the Spirit of God begins to grant understanding. What Daniel has seen does not belong only to his time. It belongs to the end of times. Some time later, now under the reign of Cyrus, king of Persia, the pace of life slows. Even further for Daniel. The visions have marked him deeply. Now, far from palaces and administrative decisions, he turns to something even older than empires, the scriptures. In silence, by the soft light of an oil lamp, Daniel unrolls aged scrolls. His eyes move across the words of the prophet Jeremiah. He reads with growing attention, reads. Again, calculates, connects dates, events, promises. Then understanding strikes him like something restrained for decades. The desolation of Jerusalem was not indefinite. The captivity had a limit, 70 years. The revelation pierces him completely. It is not merely historical data. It is a calling, a spiritual weight. Daniel rises. He tears his garments, puts on sackcloth, covers himself with ashes. He does not pray as a statesman, nor as a court sage. He prays as an intercessor, as one who carries the destiny of a people before God. He falls face down and cries out with a broken voice, Lord, great and fearsome God, who keeps covenant and mercy with those who love you and keep your commandments. We have sinned. We have committed iniquity. We have been rebellious. We have not listened to your servants, the prophets. Righteousness belongs to you, but to us confusion of faith. He confesses not only individual sins, but the collective guilt of generations. He does not exclude himself. He includes himself. Forgive us, Lord. Incline your ear and hear. Do not delay for your own sake. While he is still praying, before his words are even finished, something changes in the atmosphere. The presence is immediate. An intense light breaks into space. Before him appears a radiant figure. He comes not in threat, but in urgency. It is Gabriel, the messenger sent directly from the heavenly throne. With a firm and compassionate voice, he declares, Daniel, I have now come to give you wisdom and understanding. From the moment you began to pray, the command was given, and I have come to inform you, you are greatly loved. The words are not only an answer, they are comfort. Gabriel then reveals something even greater than the return from exile. He opens a window into the full plan of redemption. 70 weeks are decreed for your people and for your holy city. Each phrase carries centuries. Each number points to events Daniel would never see with his own eyes. To finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Daniel listens attentively, absorbing every detail. Gabriel continues marking times, divisions, events, from the issuing of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the anointed one, the prince, there will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The voice grows more solemn. After that, the anointed one will be cut off and will have nothing. The city and the sanctuary will be destroyed. The people of a ruler who is to come will come like a flood. Until the end, there will be war. Desolations are decreed. Daniel records everything with precision, yet his heart remains unsettled. He understands that the return from exile would not be the climax. Something greater was coming. Suffering, redemption, final conflict. Human time intertwines with divine time. Still within the vision, Daniel perceives a time of anguish that would come upon the people of God unlike anything before. But alongside the affliction, he also hears a promise that crosses the centuries. Those who are wise will shine, like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness, like the stars, forever and ever. Once again, Daniel awakens. The vision fades. The prayer ceases. The window of his room filters the pale light of dawn. The world seems the same, but he is no longer the same. Daniel remains seated in silence. His face bears the marks of one who has seen the invisible. His eyes hold the depth of someone who has crossed time, touched the end of history, and returned. The prophet knows the words have been revealed, but not yet fulfilled. But it was not the end. One final vision was approaching. Not a revelation about isolated kings or passing empires, but something greater. A cosmic battle fought beyond the reach of human eyes. A confrontation between the angels of God and the forces of evil. The final revelation that would conclude Daniel's prophetic calling, and seal the words until the time of the end. Daniel stands on the brink of the final great experience of his life. Now elderly, his body bears the weight of years, but his soul carries the burden of kingdoms he saw collapse, of kings he counseled led, and of visions that forever reshaped his understanding of the world. He has seen gold turn to dust. He has seen thrones fall. But what he is about to behold transcends human empires. God will lead him to what undergirds history itself, the invisible battles, where nations, kings, and earthly powers move under divine supervision. In the 3rd year of the reign of Cyrus, king of Persia, Daniel enters a season of spiritual mourning. He begins a deep fast, 3 full weeks without wine, without meat, without perfumes. There is no celebration. There is no comfort. The weight of prophecy consumes his days and drains his strength. On the 24th day, by the banks of the great Tigris River, Daniel lifts his eyes, and time itself seems to suspend its course. I saw a man dressed in linen with a belt of pure gold from Uphaz. His body gleamed like beryl. His face shone like lightning. His eyes burned like torches of fire. His arms and legs gleamed like polished bronze, and his voice echoed like the sound of a countless multitude. The men who were with Daniel cannot endure the sight. Sudden terror overwhelms them. They flee without understanding what they have seen. Daniel remains alone. His strength leaves him. He collapses with his face to the ground, breathless, without resistance. Then the heavenly being touches him. The contact is gentle, restoring. Daniel is lifted with care as one would support something fragile and precious. Daniel, man greatly loved, pay attention to the words I'm about to speak to you. The voice carries no condemnation, but urgency. From the first day you set your heart to seek understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard. Then the veil is lifted. But there was war in the spiritual realm. The prince of the kingdom of Persia resisted me for 21 days until Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me. The invisible is revealed. Daniel understands that human history is not shaped only by swords, treaties, or armies. There are hidden forces at work behind kingdoms. Angels and powers wage silent battles that determine the course of the ages. The messenger continues. Now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. After that, the prince of Greece will come. But first I will reveal to you what is written in the book of truth. And then begins the longest and most detailed prophecy ever entrusted to a man. Daniel sees a succession of the kings of Persia. Then comes the meteoric rise of a mighty king of Greece, Alexander the Great, whose untimely death will divide his empire into 4 parts. Among them, 2 kingdoms will stand out, the king of the south and the king of the north. Wars follow one after another. Alliances are formed only to be betrayed. Political marriages fail. Palace intrigues rot empires from within. The king of the north exalts himself. He desecrates the temple. He abolishes the daily sacrifice. He establishes the abomination of desolation. He seduces those who violate the covenant. But the people who know their God grow strong, remain faithful, and resist. The vision accelerates. Daniel sees persecutions, martyrs, false peace treaties, arrogant kings rising against everything that is called God. A ruler exalts himself above all gods. He honors a foreign god with gold, silver, and precious stones. He acts against mighty fortresses with the help of powers he does not understand. But his fall is sudden. Clear his throat. He comes to his end, and there is no one to help him. Daniel breathes with difficulty. His body can barely endure the magnitude of what he sees. But heaven has not yet finished. The messenger then speaks of the time of the end. At that time Michael shall rise, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people. There shall be a time of distress, such as has never occurred since there was a nation. But the promise breaks through like light in the chaos. At that time your people shall be delivered, everyone who is found written in the book. And then the whisper of eternity echoes. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Daniel trembles. His face bows once more to ground. Again, he is touched with tenderness. The messenger concludes, "Go your way, Daniel. These words are sealed and closed until the time of the end. You shall rest, and at the end of the days you will rise to receive your inheritance." Silence. The scene returns to the prophets. Simple chamber. Daniel gazes toward the horizon of Babylon, now stripped of its glory, surrendered to the passage of time. His weary eyes contemplate a distant future, a time when kings and kingdoms will fall, but the eternal rock will remain. The shadows of the setting sun dance upon the walls. Daniel kneels one final time and whispers, "Your kingdom is forever, O Lord, and your dominion will have no end." Thus ends the journey of the faithful prophet, of the exile who refused to defile himself, of the wise man who interpreted dreams and saw the invisible, of the servant who prayed 3 times a day, even on the threat of death, and whose words remained sealed until time of the end.